Okay, I think I'm
All
here.
right. Hey, is that Brad?
That is Brad. Hello.
Hey. Well, thank you for being the first one to hop on, and it's great to meet you.
It's good to meet you too. Yeah, the interface in the link that I found on Google Plus went to basically a YouTube stream of you, and there was some sort of Q&A interface, but there was no chat box and no link.
Ah,
I found it when I went back to the Google Plus page for the event. So hopefully
right.
people will see it now.
Yeah,
Um,
I've never been in a full-fledged Google Hangout before. The first one didn't really work. So,
yeah.
so this is the first official one.
Okay. All right.
Sweet.
So
So anybody
you're
else?
in.
So you should be able to, if you're in the window like I'm seeing, you should have a chat
Yeah. Now
icon
I do.
inside. Now you do. Okay, so other people should be able to get this window somehow, and
Well, so that's the weird thing. Like I was when I followed the first link that I had, I did not have chat. The only things I had was the Q&A and the showcase
hmm.
sidebars. You did
I
not
wonder
have
if I
chat.
click it, I could see where it goes. So I could watch a rebroadcast of myself. Okay, okay, I got it. It says join. Yeah, I guess there's no chat box or anything.
Yeah.
Come on, Google. It's too complicated.
And I left. Yeah. Okay. So the Reaper blog
The
left a
comment?
Q&A. Well, if you so on your sidebar over here on the side, if you go to Q&A instead of chat, you'll
Okay,
see a
got
very
it.
confused Q&A that I posted, and then you'll see the Reaper blog saying that they are watching us.
Ooh, creepy. Okay.
Though actually, I'm gonna follow them now because I didn't know there was a Reaper blog, and that is
I
a
guess that's John, right? Hey, John.
well.
John
See that's the thing. Unless they follow the link
Austin joined.
that is from actually here's what I'll do. I will paste that link in the Q&A since that's
Hey, Austin.
oh, are you kidding?
What's up?
Oh, okay, so there is somebody. All right.
Hey, do you want to introduce yourself, Austin? I know Brad a little bit just from internet, but I'm not familiar with.
I'm kind of an aspiring audio drama producer,
Okay, cool.
and I was really just here to listen.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough.
Well, are you
I'm
the one that posted the Vonnegut adaptation the other day?
No,
Okay.
I missed the
I did
Vonnegut.
listen to it, so it wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, this
Uh,
flipping people when they talk is really disorienting. How many times people flip over?
yeah, as far as I know, I'm not sure that there is a way to change that. I got used to it after a while. I have a couple of projects where I'm on like weekly hangouts and
Oh yeah.
e-
Okay. Well, then you should be
eventually.
schooling us because
It's basically just whoever's talking, it switches to, and it has a very generous definition of talking. Like somebody will cough and they'll just flash on the screen for a second.
yeah. No, I think if you put yourself full screen, then the rest stay down and not the greatest way, but at least
Ah,
doesn't
okay.
flip around.
All right.
But I
That
get
works.
a little view of you guys. All right, Brad. I know you're from Boston area.
Yes.
Yes. Where are you Austin from?
Northern Kentucky.
All right.
All right.
Cool. And I'm from Canada, Vancouver.
Cool.
So I did. Yeah, I kind of wanted just to create this space where we can talk about things and to meet people face to face because it's nice to get the groups and the forums, but the text-based thing is limiting. And I thought in ways if you're going through and editing, it's kind of a lonely thing, and you're only seeing one perspective of it, the way you're doing it. It'd be nice if you can ask and see how other people do it, what they edit in, just what their workflow is, and and if you have things to contribute, just that would be cool. So I'm kind of open to how this can run. I just wanted to finally get one off the ground. Um, I know Reaper had a new update. I don't know, Brad, do you use it, or are you in? Do you mainly do it in what was it, Audacity?
So I have done things no man should be expected to do in Audacity.
Well, yeah, I was surprised when you showed like how far you went in Audacity. Like for me, I would have turned around pretty early on.
It was basically like Second Shift was how I learned to do sound design and editing, and Audacity was the tool that I knew. And so I produced scenes that had like 15 tracks and multiple characters and everything. Audacity is a tool for creating sound effects, right? It is not a DAW. It is not a tool for producing an audio drama, but
But I'm surprised how many people in like the Audio Drama Talk forum mention using it.
it's because it's easy. Compared to Reaper, like even compared to Reaper, which is probably the easiest of the tools that are out there, I think.
Right.
The actual DAWs that I've seen, it's the thing that kept me from switching to Reaper for a while, and this is a very long way of answering your question. Now I do my actual editing in Reaper, but if I need to create like a one-shot sound effect, sometimes I'll do it in Reaper, sometimes I'll do it in Audacity. It kind of depends on what I need. But one of the things that kept me away from Reaper for so long is because there's a different kind of mental model you have to have. There are concepts that you don't really need to understand when you're just working in Audacity. It's a little more intuitive, I think. But it's also much more limited because this isn't the kind of stuff it's designed for.
Right. Like, yeah, but it's interesting you still go back to it because I just open up a different timeline in Reaper and work from there.
Yeah, I go back and forth because like it just sometimes it seems overkill. Like if what I want to do is like add a reverb to something and I know I'm going to use it once and I know I'm never going to change it, I might just do it in Audacity. It seems weird to like create a whole Reaper project for that.
You wouldn't just apply it to the clip and then mix it, bounce it?
Well,
there's so many terms in there: glue, mix, bounce, and Reaper has a few ways of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I realize I could just take the clip. You're talking about just like take the clip and apply effects to just that clip, right?
Yeah, that way you didn't have to go outside.
Yeah, I mean, my thinking is that once I've rendered it, I always want to, once I've created the effect, like I might not ever like change the reverb on something, but I might reuse that effect. So I usually like having them exported into their own files so I can add it to my library of effects so I can reuse it more easily. And having it in the Reaper project, I'd have to go in and export
you wouldn't
out
find
the
it.
project later if I needed to, yeah.
Right. Fair enough. What do you use, Brad? I mean, sorry, Austin.
I actually started out using Audacity and have been using it for quite a few months, and I've just been turned on to Reaper in the last couple of weeks. And
oh, nice.
I went ahead and made the $60 license purchase to force myself to learn how to use it.
Right.
So I'm still learning.
Cool. Yeah, because one thing I'm getting a bit of echo on me is that it's gone.
I'm not hearing it.
Well, now and then one of the words seems to go through right there.
Huh. Oh yeah, we got somebody new.
Hey, John.
Hello.
Hey. You got a nice studio there, I think. You got a little thumbnail. Put it up. Oh, sound blanket behind you.
Yeah, that is an intense-looking mic.
Yeah, the SM7B. Can we hear you?
I think his intense mic is muted.
I did not mute him. I have not muted him.
Huh. Well, it's a very nice looking mic, and I'm sure it sounds good, but we can't hear you.
Okay, let's try that.
There we
Yeah, there
go.
we go.
Okay,
Wow.
I was hearing a delayed. I was hearing someone talking, so I wasn't speaking on purpose. But I
Right.
did have my settings wrong too.
Okay. Well, that is a nice sounding mic.
Okay,
It is the
that's
SM7,
SM7.
right? Yeah, that's the one I used to record. And it gives me so much noise that I have to do so much cleaning.
Really?
Oh, that's your
Yeah.
preamp.
That's actually the problem that I've been.
Is it my preamp though? I have sorry, Brad.
No,
Just
no.
quickly to say it's the Apogee
The duet.
Duet. Yeah.
It should be able to
Plus
handle it, but I don't know.
plus with Fathead on it. I think that's what you call it. Fathead. Fathead. It's been a while.
Well, it needs a lot of gain. So there's the self noise of the preamp
No,
and
I
the
think it's just
head.
picking up the room. I think it's just
Okay.
picking up things that I can't overly hear because it's not a perfect sound studio, but it's got blankets and yeah. Anyway, yeah, Brad.
The room you're in now.
No, this is just my room.
Oh, okay.
I don't record here now.
I do a lot of editing for this mic, but it's like itself is quiet. It just picks up a lot of the room because I use a ton of compression and stuff.
Mm. But the bass, I like the bass that it gives to the voices.
Yeah, the sound I'm hearing from you is gorgeous. What did you say that is? An SM7?
Yeah, it's a Shure SM7B. It's going into a Pre-73, which is a Neve style preamp and a tube compressor.
Right. That's one of the things that I still have not got anything I'm happy with in my setup because I have somehow managed to collect like a bunch of random mics, but the only way I have to connect a mic to my laptop is through this ancient Zoom H4 that I've got, and it produces an electrical whine that is just nasty. And it might just be mine because it's really old and it lives in my backpack.
Yeah, it could be.
But it's a real problem. I don't have a good I've got a Yeti USB mic, which is a good enough mic, but it gets a lot of room echo. So I would love to get a setup with like a decent preamp and a just nice vocal mic for up close.
Yeah, if you can get the noise and preamp worked out, I like the SM7B, but I think I might want to try a couple other options for my setup. But I'm just stuck with it because I've already recorded so much of my episodes in there to keep the matching stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the problem with it is that it's not as sensitive as a condenser. It has a tone that's similar to a condenser, but it's not as sensitive. So it's actually going to pick up less of the room than more expensive mics. But it does need a lot of gain. But preamp noise is something that you can remove instantly with Isotope RX. And with condensers, it's usually a lot of P-pops and sibilants and stuff like that they have to deal with. In addition to noise, lots of noise from other rooms in your house, that kind of stuff. So I've used probably 15 different mics over the years for podcasting and stuff, and this setup has been the best, even though I still need to do quite a bit of processing. But it's probably just because I'm more critical of my own voice than anyone else.
Right.
So I spend a lot of time making it sound right.
So is there something that you can tell if it's a preamp noise versus room noise? Is that something you can see in the analysis of the file or just by ear?
If you unplug the mic and crank the preamp, you'll hear some noise. And which should be the preamp. But the preamp noise is different when there's a load on it. So you'd have to connect a mic that doesn't have a capsule to actually get the proper load for the.
It's a little bit of testing.
Yeah. Um, but the room is always going to be louder than the self noise of your audio equipment. So your
Right. And,
computer fans, your air conditioning, cars driving by.
yeah, the
Um,
aircon in my building sucks, so it's pretty noisy. It's terrible for the quiet scenes.
I have a lot of problems because I'm right on Willingdon in Burnaby, so there's like tons of cars driving by all hours of the day. Like usually record my videos during the day, and it's just like cars and trucks and construction vehicles going up and down the road like 20 feet away from my studio. And it's not
Okay.
soundproofed or anything. It's an old house, so it doesn't even have insulation. And so it's just like it all gets in, and with condensers it's even worse than with the SM7.
Yeah. When
No.
we were doing our show, probably the number one, if you took all of the bits that we had to cut during the editing process, like 60 or 70% of them would be someone going, fucking truck.
I've got a lot of outtakes like that.
You should have made a string of it. Just
Do a techno remix, yeah.
Yeah, I started adding the little kind of outtakes at the end of my episodes where it's just some funny things. Nice to share it out.
Yeah. Outtakes are fun.
Yeah.
I've recorded for 2 hours and ended up with 5 minutes of usable stuff in the end. The final edit would be like 5 minutes. I just ruthlessly cut stuff out.
It's because of background noise or just not happy with what you were
With
doing?
how my mouth works.
Mm.
Yeah.
Was this like
but also,
extemporaneous podcast talk or reading lines?
Improvising, speaking to camera stuff.
Okay.
So, not having a script or a very, just having a rough outline of what I wanted to answer, but having, no idea the exact words I'm going to use.
Yeah.
And, talking about fairly technical subjects. So.
Do you develop training materials of some kind?
For the Reaper blog.
Ah, okay. Oh, that was you, the Reaper blog, saying you're watching this. That was ominous.
Well, I couldn't find the link to get in.
Yeah, no way. I had the same problem. But yeah, I develop. Part of my day job is developing technical training materials, and finding that balance between saying the right thing in the right way and not sounding like you're reading is possibly one of the things that I've practiced the most in doing that sort of thing. It's really hard, and because you want to have this casual style, and so you're like, okay, I know this subject, I will just improv this, and then that's when I totally know what you mean when you say you end up with 5 minutes of stuff you can use, and it's stitched together from 3 or 4 different sections of when you were talking. Yeah.
But I would rather have that than leaving all that stuff in and not having it really to the point.
Yeah, or sounding like you're reading.
But you don't always know what you have until you get to editing. So, but it takes so long to do the setup and clean it all up and import and sync all your tracks, and then you go and edit, and then you're like, I should have just done another take, but it's not an easy thing to just jump over, set up all the cameras and stuff, and then redo it. That's a 2-hour delay to set all that stuff up again.
Yeah.
For me, anyways.
So we got a question about somebody else trying to join in, but it doesn't say what time it came in. So I don't know if I missed this question 20 minutes ago or just now. It's not really helpful.
Can we answer the question? I can't answer. Can you answer the question?
Well, no. It's apparently, I think we answered by speaking the answer. So if the viewer is there, but it says 0 viewers, so I think we lost him. And it says +1, and I can't +1 it, so I can't even like acknowledge it. So, I think you guys are the only ones who can do that.
Nope, I
Or
can't.
only
let
okay,
it-
so maybe viewers. So you can't even be on. It's a lot more complicated than I expected it to be. I went to his profile and messaged him a link.
Okay.
That works because there's no direct way of replying. Phew.
Yeah. All
'Cause
right.
you have a Q&A and then you have a group chat. You guys, I think, can see the group chat, but only once you've already joined it, right? So
Yeah. Exactly.
And there's also comments on YouTube and on the Google Plus page.
Oh, jeez.
I hope they're the same ones because I can't keep track of them. Refreshing the Google page. Is there anything new? No, I think everything seems to be okay here. Although it says there's more people watching than there is whatever. Okay.
So sound design stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah. Clem, I think it's on you. You gotta have some conversation starters.
for sure. No, I've got questions to if anybody wants to jump on it. My current thing I'm working through is that's the thing that's always bugged me is the reverb, setting the room sound for each one to make it give their own realism. And one thing I've wondered is how do you guys do your scenes if you have two different, like inside and outside, or transition between two different rooms? How do you just send to do two different buses and then fade between them? Is that a good conversation starter?
I don't feel like I'm qualified to answer this with the Reaper blog guy sitting right there. So I'm gonna leave it all on you.
You're talking about for film?
No, I'm talking for the audio drama. Yeah, see, I don't think John dips his toe into audio drama exactly.
I don't do a lot of post-production stuff other than for my own videos.
Right, yeah.
So
So you don't really have to change the environment too much.
Yeah, I think you would kind of just do it in scenes. You have a different reverb to match each room or each environment that the person's in.
Yeah, but I have them in the same scene to different environments because creating a different file for each is a bit much if it's only a few lines in each scene. There's two environments in one scene. So what I have right now is just two different buses that I send.
I don't really get what you mean by two different environments in the same.
Well, the characters are outside, they begin and then they walk inside. So
Okay.
It's going to
Okay, so
change, but I don't want to throw it onto a different project.
Yeah, you just have two sends for each dialogue track.
And then you fade between them. Okay.
Yeah, so you're turning one down as you turn the next one up.
All right, okay. That's what I was
as-
doing, but
as
I
they
thought
enter the
maybe it
second
was
environment.
okay. I thought maybe it was too makeshift.
Well,
That's-
how do you
that's
give
probably the easiest
each?
way.
How do you give are these on separate tracks, or like how can you send each one to a different? How are you gonna have a separate send for each one if they're not on different tracks? And if they're on different tracks, why not just have a different plugin for each track? You know, a different reverb for each track.
I like to keep the room reverb. I mean, the setting, the tone reverb on one, and just send everything through there to have only one setting to change.
All right, that makes
when I'm
if you're
adjusting.
alternating between them back and forth and back and forth, then
Yeah, so like if there's two characters that are speaking in a section, you'd have person A on one track, person B on another track. Each of them sends to two more tracks for reverb A and reverb B.
Yeah, both of them.
You could actually send to those tracks at whatever level you want, and then what you're fading in and out is the the reverb return tracks faders rather than changing 4 different send levels. You just change the returns.
Yeah, so here it is. Here's kind of how I have things laid out. As you can see here, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So fades. One goes up, one goes down. That's about it. That's what I've decided on. Before, I used to just actually in the reverb
Yeah.
fiddle automate the wet level, size, and dry randomly because I don't know actually. That's the one thing I don't know is reverb and how it affects. I just listen, and if it sounds all right, that's when I leave it. But Matthew Martinson, John, he was berating me about that, saying that's just I'm not doing it right. Like I got to really figure it out because the rooms don't sound exact. So.
I love that you're running through Guitar Rig for your reverb.
Well, because they have Reflector in there, and I like what Reflector does.
If it sounds good, it's fine.
No, I'm not. I'm serious. Like,
but at the same time, of being simple, it's a simple interface for it. It has quite a few presets to start from, and then I'll just tweak it a little bit, and it gets me pretty close. The one thing I have been having issues with Guitar Rig is, though, it feels like maybe because I have. Hi, Jeff. I think we got a new one.
He joined, threw his headphones down, and walked away.
Sorry about that, guys. Hang on.
Okay. I thought it was funny, at least.
So the one issue I've been finding is during really the dialogue scenes where everything's quiet, I find because I've panned the original tracks left and right, I'll have one person from the left. All right, we'll wait till.
Sorry, excuse me. Can you hear me, first of all?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Sorry, hi, I'm Jeff. Sorry,
Hey,
I was late.
Jeff.
I had difficulty joining in.
No worries. We all, everybody did. I don't know what the exact way of doing sending the link out, because I read that you can't just post it on the main page because apparently there's people who just go through all these Hangouts and then start flashing you through them, and just you can't bump them off or something. And I don't know. It's weird.
Fair enough. Well, it happened. Reaper, cool. We're talking about Reaper? Okay.
Right now we are, yeah, and I'm showing right now how I set things up, and I'd be interested to see other people's timeline just because I'm stuck in the way I do things, and I'd be really interested, yeah, how you guys, if you color code, if you pair things, how you name tracks, all that kind of stuff. I'd be actually really interested to see how others do it, because it's just how I figured I would do it. But so what I wanted to show, yeah, with one thing I'm having issues with Guitar Rig, I don't know if I might post on their forum, is it seems to bleed even to the other one, to the other chat. The right one will go into the left a little bit, and it'll feel like the character moved a little bit, but it hadn't. So I don't know if that's something to do with the reflector and the way it's a convolution reverb, right? So it doesn't act exactly like a realistic reverb. I don't know. Is that something you know something about, John? Did I make any sense?
A lot of reverbs are mono in and stereo out. So you could just, I mean, it's not really a problem with music mixing.
Yeah, I figured, yeah.
Because, well, in a real room, you kind of hear the reverb from, like, you hear it in both ears, right? You probably hear the farther away wall for the closer one, right? So, I mean, I'd have to hear it to tell you what's wrong with it, but
yeah.
You could make your reverb tracks mono, and then pan them to match the other tracks.
You can actually make them mono?
Yeah, so where's your reverb track?
Right here.
All right, so you could go to, if you right-click on
so the
pan
width.
knob,
The width?
yeah, the width. The width would do it. Well, it depends on if you want to see it in the track control panel, or you can do it through here. But that width control there in the routing, that window there, you could just double-click that to go into the middle, and now that track is mono.
Okay. All
And
right.
if you reverse
Makes
it, then
sense.
it's going to reverse your panning.
Right. Fair enough. But then it might also kind of kill the whole thing of having pans because you're going to still have enough coming out of there that. Okay, I'll have to play with that.
Yeah, there's also, I don't know if that reverb has the crossfeed parameter, but basically like if something on the left gets fed into it, it also goes into the right channel. Some reverbs let you keep it totally separate, like 2 separate mono reverbs, and some process everything the exact same no matter which channel it's coming in on.
Yeah, I figure something like that probably is happening here. I'll have to take a closer look. So, hey Jeff, how are you?
I'm
Hi.
fine.
Are you from the? Oh, I'm creating the infinite loop
that's
here.
trippy.
Don't divide by 0.
All right. Are you from the audio drama community, or what's your
Yeah.
background?
I found out about this Hangout on the Facebook group, and I'm from up north, International Falls, Minnesota, and I've run
Cool.
for a while. I've run a group called the Icebox Radio Theater.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, that was endearing.
No, I'm familiar. Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically what I do. We have a studio here in town, a lot of improvised gear over the years, and some, anything that's cheap for the most part. And I've started using Reaper about a year ago, but I also do some part-time at a local radio station, so I think I've tried them all at some point. Still use Audacity for a lot of particular jobs, and it's at the station it's SoundForge, and at the studio it's Reaper. I have a very, very old version of Pro Tools, and I can still use that if necessary. But yeah, that's basically what we do.
Nice.
Did Icebox win a Parsec many years ago? I remembering.
No, we've never quite made a. Am I coming in too quiet? I see you're adjusting. Clem is adjusting my audio level.
No, I just noticed it was slightly down, and then I realized actually you were talking pretty loud, and so I thought, don't touch.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It's weird. When you did that, I actually got a box on the screen telling me you were doing that.
Oh, so I can't do that
Anonymously.
okay, anonymously. Interesting. Okay.
Brad, we've never. I think one time we got like a finalist for the Parsecs.
Okay.
Those awards confuse me because I'm old. And we have gotten a couple of Mark Time awards, Mark Time and Ogle awards over the years.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah, but no, the Parsecs never quite figured out. I think for a couple of years I nominated us because you can nominate yourself, and that just felt wrong after a while. So there we are.
Right. Those have really hard requirements for me because they require a certain amount of episodes during the year, and I just can't make more than 3 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been terrible.
So are we all audio drama, or we've got some voice actors, or what?
Most of us audio here, except for John. He does the Reaper blog and
Oh, cool.
a bunch of other things.
Audio engineering, music production.
Music production, that's it, yeah. So
Never-
a little bit the odd one out here.
Yeah. But I know you from the Sound Designers Meetup in Vancouver.
Yeah, we know each other. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, we didn't. I was kind of promoting this on both ends for sound designer and audio drama because that's kind of where I converge. Right. So, has anybody moved over? Has anybody here use Alchemy? Has anybody moved over to the new Logic? Does that make sense to anybody but John?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I figured, but
No.
Anybody out here use any Reactor or Contact or anything?
I try to use Contact, and there are a couple of things that I find just maddening about it. And actually, this isn't really related enough, but if I can, I'll mention it quickly, and if anybody can can help me out with it, that would be awesome. So I do electronic drums a lot of the time, and I've got a keyboard that's got a set of little MIDI pads on it, and most of the time I use Superior Drummer, which is great because I can say this drum, learn this pad, and I just hit a pad, and now that pad triggers that drum. And Contact instruments seem to all be working under the assumption that you are using a keyboard, and it's just going to be C, C of octave 1 does this, and down the keyboard, which if you're using anything other than a keyboard is totally impractical. And I haven't found a way to map an arbitrary MIDI signal to an arbitrary sound.
Yeah, I normally just readjust my octave range on my keyboard, and that does enough for me. But I understand, yeah, if you have a completely different instrument, I don't know. I have a little keyboard with a little bit of a drum pad, and just by changing the octave range, I get down to the drum pad, and yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, but then God help you if you want sounds that aren't adjacent, or within the range of the number of pads you have. So anyway, there's probably I could probably do something in Reaper with some funky MIDI mapping and have Reaper change the MIDI signal on the fly, but I've been too lazy to do that.
You can.
Yeah, I've been liking some of the things that Reaper does with the MIDI and adjusting that.
Yeah. So how do you use Contact in the?
Oh, did things go mute?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying I have to jump off here, but I will watch for a post for your next meetup because I really like to do this again.
For sure. Yeah. No.
Great.
Be sure to come back and we'll chat more with you, Austin. Thanks for jumping on.
I will. Thanks, man.
Cheers.
So how do you use Contact in the context of sound design, or is this just you for composing music to go with a piece?
No, I actually don't do any music at all. I'm very terrible. If I do, this very, very limited arpeggiated kind of stuff. Well, actually, what I use Contact a lot in in my here, I'll switch over to.
First, does anybody need an explanation of what Contact is?
Yes, please, because I just jumped over to another window, was looking it up surreptitiously.
Okay, sorry about that. Contact is by Native Instruments, and it's essentially an instrument player. You load it as you load it as a VST, and then you can see there over on the left there are a bunch of different sets of instruments, and they have a footsteps collection.
It's a free one I found online, and that is my main important thing with it. Because you have if you can see my mouse, yeah. So there's different levels of keyboard. You have walking, you have running, shuffling, jumping.
Oh dear Lord, I need that.
Can you hear the audio coming from that? Can you?
No.
I don't think I can, but
No, you can't.
You didn't hear the footsteps.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But I can't hear it right now. So
Okay.
wait a minute.
So that one's free, and
you can change the type of shoe. There's a drop down for the type of shoe.
yeah, type of shoe.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I was gonna say that this is like exactly like why would you want it for like post production and stuff, because it's cheaper than Foley.
Well, it is, and because for these kind of quick things, it doesn't make sense to do Foley for what we do in audio dramas. It's overkill, and this is quick, and it does. You got after that you run it through effects, and you could change it. There isn't. You can buy another version from a couple other places, and they have larger options for your shoes. But I pretty much find I can get away with the ones they do here, and if anything, because Contact allows you to, or I could throw in the MIDI instrument from Reaper, and I could just load in a sound under them, so I could just add in a little bit of grass to just trigger every time, and it just fills it out. And what I've also purchased when they had it on sale, so I picked it up for maybe like $15 or something, is a cloth library. So it's just rubbing of jeans or something or shirt, and then you throw it under the footsteps, so it triggers with the same time, so you have a feeling of the character's clothing moving.
Yeah, no, that's
When I need that, yeah.
Okay,
And then,
I have a
yep.
I was going to say I have a question. Now, are you playing the different sounds with the keyboard, or are these preset loops basically?
No, they're all separate sounds, and I will play them with a keyboard as I listen.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll click record, and it just play through the scene. And then because it's MIDI, after that, if I made any mistakes, I could just run through, switch the MIDI to a different line, to play a different step, or just readjust as needed. Yeah.
Okay, so you hit basically hitting one key equals one step.
Yeah.
And the variety and okay, so how do you get, say, the variety you would with Foley, where occasionally you shuffle to a stop, or there's a turn on a heel, or something like that?
So you have, and you still can't hear that.
No.
Shoot.
We're getting
Okay.
no audio for you.
Yeah, okay. I'll have to figure out how to wire my audio into that. So you have walking, you have running, and then there's these ones that are emote, and those are all the shuffling, like stopping, moving around, and yeah.
Okay.
So you have options, and then you could layer them, of course, and then.
And since it's all MIDI, since you're using Reaper, if you're using Reaper or whatever DAW, you can just record the MIDI as opposed to recording the sound.
Yeah, that's what I do. I just record the MIDI.
And this is why I like using this for drums too, because I can record a part and then say, I wonder what this would sound like on a completely different kit. And then without re-recording it, I just go and I change the kit.
Right.
And then the other thing, what I've done is I have a scene coming up where they're paddling in a boat, and I've got a couple. I've recorded a couple splashes in the lake, and isolate them, clean them up, and it's only a couple. I created a contact instrument for that, map them out, and if you hit a bunch of keys, it all blends together. It gives offsets some of them by pitch a little bit, and what you get is a bigger texture than layering each one on the track here, where it's kind of obvious that you've layered a couple sounds. So it's a very nice way to suddenly get a more expressive things out of very little samples.
I've never tried creating a custom instrument. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, I've done a couple. I've done some in the Reaper one, very simple ones. When somebody is walking, I've attached onto those feet, I've attached chain sound. So he's walking in a little bit of a suit of armor or whatever it is, and it just gives that little bit more there. And the other one I like for creating your own instrument from your own samples, that's why I mentioned alchemy. Whoa.
Someone's in a flight path.
That's a truck driving by.
So that's
that's a good mic, is what that is.
And so, yeah, so with alchemy is the one thing I really like is creating instruments with that. And while I haven't purchased yet the new Logic, I'm really tempted because supposedly they have an easier way of dropping samples. The previous one is just such a long, winding road of doing that I'm just thinking of buying Logic just to play around with the new alchemy, because you just throw in 4 different sounds roughly of what you need and then start playing them all over the keyboard, and really gets you far. And the other one we've mentioned, the other one that's nice for, okay, that doesn't work. Maybe I should stop screen sharing. Is the Mangle. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. That one you don't need. You don't need to have contact or reactor.
I saw Gord using that today. He did a live stream while he's making sounds for Parkitect.
Really?
Oh, yeah, he did
I missed
4
that.
hours. Did like 4 hours of making sounds. It's pretty cool.
Really? Oh man.
Yeah, he's gonna do it every. He's gonna do it every Monday. He forgot to mention it in the group.
Yeah,
But
that would have been nice because this is kind of what I wanted this to be like, where somebody goes and does something in front of you so that you can see some different way of doing something.
I've
yes,
never heard of this thing you're talking about.
So the mangle I'm throwing into the group chat, which let's see if that works
Hmm.
for anybody. And that one is nice because it's a cheap instrument and it works beautifully without needing contact. Of course, in Reaper has its a trigger sampler, but it's a little basic in manipulating. It won't do much further than triggering them, as far as I know, right, John?
yeah, it just triggers. You can do pitch shifting and change the
Yeah,
envelope.
minor thing, but it's not. Yeah, it doesn't really.
But this is a granular synth that
Yeah,
can load samplers or samples. So
yeah,
like
exactly.
Gord was using it for making loops that are like sounds that are too short into loops.
Hmm.
Um, so
Yep, that's why exactly. That's why I like using the samplers because so many times I have little samples and I can't fill out a scene with them. So I throw them into these, hit keys a bunch, and then either use a little bits of that recording or just play that whole recording under.
So what does it do that actually looping the sound wouldn't do?
Because you would hear the loop,
Yeah,
whereas
yeah.
this
So what does
breaks.
it do to avoid that?
This
So-
break. Yeah.
it's a granular synth, so it takes the sample and instead of playing a loop of the entire thing or a small section, it's making lots of tiny sections of it and then kind of playing them at random.
Huh.
And so it's kind of generating sound out of just like a tiny sliver of the original audio. So you can make really, really long evolving sounds out of it or turn it into an instrument. So the example I saw today was taking some water and then turning it kind of into like a waterfall sound. So getting a lot of variety out of like one sound source to create longer loops that will be playing continuously in a video game. So
That demo wasn't archived anywhere by any chance, was it?
he didn't save it.
Okay.
Oh, really? Come on. Gord.
I think he just forgot to press record. But yeah, he's going to be doing it every Monday on his Twitch channel. Yeah, this plugin looks really cool. Like, yeah, you guys have to watch a video of it because it's kind of insane. But if you're not doing sound design, it doesn't make sense to get it. But like, it looks like a lot of fun.
Well, just that problem of I've got this sound and it's the thing that I want, but I can't loop it without it sounding wrong. Like, just a solution to that would be huge.
Yeah.
Now, does it work for, like, one place that I've run into that is like where I need, say, I've had a couple of live theater shows I've done that want like bird song, and so I've got a decent sample of bird song. But after I've listened to it, I realized that this clip is like 30 seconds long, and if you do that for 5 minutes, it actually becomes this Chinese water torture thing, even if it's just on a subconscious level.
Yeah, you kind of have to take out anything that is really like
That stands out.
musical,
Yeah.
like any melody or any high pitched sounds that draw attention to themselves. You have to make your loops kind of work around those parts. So you cut out what you don't need, and then make large crossfades of the parts that are left.
Yeah.
And
that's what I end up doing. My question is, if you use the mangle, like, would it end up sounding weird and artificial, or could it solve a problem like that?
I think probably it probably would sound artificial. I haven't heard it on like.
Well, no, it's
bird
just
sounds.
Well, it's you have the option of how far you want it to affect, so you can have it not artificial. It's just whether it would still sound looped because you would have to play it so that you're not triggering the samples to sound like that there's samples appearing. You would have to fine tune, adjust those, but it's possible.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
would depend on
I
the
think it's
signal.
possible even without that plugin. I think it's possible just with editing.
Or yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
something
yeah.
it's something you can do with editing because you have more finer control. Whereas if you're using that, it's more of you're trying to get something different instead of the same.
Yeah, you absolutely can do it with editing. I'm just trying to see. I'm trying to see how lazy I can get, basically.
Right.
You know, can I hand this to a plugin and say, "Here, randomize these bird sounds for me"?
Yeah. Technically, you should be able to. Because like, if I can get audio to feed it, if I could figure that out, maybe for the next time, then I can just pull up an audio of the birds, and we can just do it right here.
Oh, that could be neat.
Because that's what I would love to use this thing for, is to say for those kind of situations. Because we do that a lot in our sound design meetup. We'd say, "Oh yeah, how you do?" Okay, and then we'd make a note of it to go home and try it. But why not do it right here? But I just don't know how to do it. Oh wait, here's a FaceTime built-in camera, microphone, Steinberg. Okay, if I go off,
Can't hear you.
Yeah, we lost you. Sounds like you changed your mic input for the. Hmm.
And if you're playing something in Reaper, we can't hear that either.
If you have Soundflower set up, you might be able to use Soundflower
Mm.
to so just set Soundflower as the input device, or create an aggregated device that has like both Soundflower and your mic, ideally.
Yeah, Soundflower can do it.
okay, I'm back.
Yes,
Um,
Tom's got it. Yes.
Yeah, I have Sunflower, but I don't right now want to jump in there and edit. But I think I've added a second. It allows you to have a second audio here in the stream. Now let's see if this works. Did I hear anything?
No, I got nothing.
No.
Okay, maybe that was wishful thing. Okay. I guess I'll play around with Soundflower later, unless it's something I could do really quickly.
I don't know. I kind of lost track of what we're trying to do.
You'd have to go into Reaper and configure the output device to be Soundflower.
Ah, fair enough. Okay.
And then you need a track for your own mic so that we could still hear you. And then you have to change Google Hangouts input to Soundflower.
Grown.
So maybe not worth it. Maybe not worth it.
No. All right. Okay. So, but yeah, if you guys are doing any sound design kind of thing, that I recommend going through that. That's Reactor and Contact would be overkill, but they're fun with the options that they offer you.
How much is Contact? I was just on the site.
You wouldn't purchase them separately. Well, you can, but they're expensive to do that way. You're much better off waiting for a sale and getting them at a discount in a bundle. The usual bundle is about $500, but you get a ton of software with that from Native Instruments, and it's kind of balancing how much you're going to use of it. Mm-hmm. But it's cheaper than buying Reactor and Contact combined, so it's the better deal either way.
Yeah.
And I ended up using them a lot because with Reactor you get access to things like Twisted Tools plugins. So
okay.
Those guys are really good for sound design.
I got Contact because it came with a piece of Native Instruments hardware that I bought. So.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah. So same thing. And as much as I didn't just like buy Contact standalone.
Yeah. It's really useful to dig in, and you can keep going forever. So one other thing I've got troubling me on, well, I think I've figured it out, and I could have shown you a little bit better if I can get audio screen sharing to work, but is doing Walla, and it's just trying to figure out how to. I couldn't make it convincing on my own without actually getting already a pre-recorded bed of this bar in the UK that I found on Freesound, and then on top of it, if you layer sounds, that's all right. But trying to build it out from scratch, I found that a real fake pain in the ass. I don't know how you guys approach creating background crowds.
Why would you build that from scratch? I just take my H4 to a bar if I don't already have what I need.
Oh, but I haven't found any bars without sounds that I don't need.
Or music,
Music, which
be
Music is
meaning
usually
music, music,
Yeah.
largely music. I don't think I could remember any bar that I've been to that didn't have. I mean, I guess I would have to make a proper trip, and when I would have to scout that, and it's
and
possible.
become an
But
alcoholic.
I guess I could go to a bar and ask if they have certain times when they don't play music.
Or like if you ever go to see live theater, when you're waiting for the show to start, there's generally not music playing and there's lots of people talking.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've taken, yeah, I haven't done that for a while, so but I've gone to a couple of just mixers and I found the tone to be too casual with murmurs, which was terrible for a bar. Um, for a really rowdy bar anyway. Everybody seems so polite and just murmuring. So recording a bunch of people. Oh, yeah.
okay.
On top of that is the one thing. Have you ever actually used the whole Walla Walla kind of?
Oh, people actually saying Walla Walla?
Yeah, because I wrote. I don't know if you guys follow that UK audio drama production blog podcast.
I noticed that they had an episode on background Walla, but I haven't gotten to listen to it yet.
Well, they actually read my letter and they mention something, but they never actually go into what I asked them is the actual direct, like, what does it sound like when other people have recorded it? Because when I record it, it sounds like Walla Walla, and putting it in the background, it doesn't. Like you need to put it really quiet, and then at that point, it becomes muddy background noise of a bunch of. It's really like I found it really hard to tell my actors just say Walla Walla or scream it like you're drunk, and because when you scream it, it already then becomes more noticeable. So at that point, yeah, I ended up not using it, but I keep hearing people like just do Walla, and how?
Well, there's options besides actually Walla. Classic peas and carrots.
Peas and
or,
carrots, yeah.
Um,
Except, but they're still distinct in that, and
I mean, every time I've done something like that, we've just had people improvise, improvise in the background. And we once did a live show. Like there's a group out here that I work with that does live recreations of classic scripts, and we did a War of the Worlds,
nice.
and there was a scene at the first landing site when there's all these military people running around, and we had a row of mics at the front with all the actors, all the principal characters reading their lines, and then just one Omni mic sitting in back, and 5 people literally walking in circles around the mic, just improvising military-sounding stuff, and it worked great.
Cool. Huh.
I'm also. This might be a stupid suggestion, but my gut says that you could put like just a little bit of like cut off the high end, just a little bit, and that would dull it without making it super quiet.
Yeah,
you know
no.
what I mean?
Yeah, if you see my everything is rounding through a group track, and that's my EQ on it. If you can see that.
And I see you have the volume pulled down, or wait, am I looking? I can't quite see which.
Oh, did you see a pop-up? Did you see a pop-up go? No?
Actually, no, I didn't.
Okay, so then that didn't work. Let's try that again.
See the main window of Reaper, that's it.
Because I shared just that screen. There we go. This is my...
There you go, okay. Yeah, so yeah.
It's cranked.
well, it's important to kind of remember story and why you have Walla or why you have background. And I know that's not really the job of the sound designer, but my handicap in this conversation is that I'm sort of everything. write the scripts and direct and frequently act and end up doing uh, the design at the other end. And if you're starting out, okay, we need to what are you doing for story? Where do you establish it? And you're establishing that there is a place, and and we need a sense of that place. And sometimes, you can mess with levels a little bit and leave the level of the wall up maybe a bit higher at the beginning, just long enough for the audience to figure out, I know where we are now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then bring it down to the point where you maybe not totally out, but really to the point where you need to be on good headphones to even be bothered by the walla anymore. It's easy to get lost in this stuff and try and make it perfect when you don't really have a clear goalpost as to what perfect is.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, for sure. Yeah, I do those things too, and I have that same kind of position where I'm taking care of it pretty much from start to finish, except with the one difference that I don't act in there. I'm awful at that. So,
Well, I want a second thing about it. Again, I'm having to kind of squint at your screen, but it looks like the volume level that you have for your Walla track is pretty consistent. And I've done the same trick that Jeff's describing, where to set a scene, you'll have the background sound fade into full volume for and then stay there for 2-3 seconds, and then go down to the background level. Maybe cross-fading with the first line. Because it's like Jeff was saying, that sort of cements in the listener's head what they're hearing in the background, and then you can put it, pretty far down there, and they just sort of need a reminder that sound is still happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't try to automate that with sidechain compression, because that sounds awful.
Oh no. See, I have it.
Announcer over music. That would sound bad in a drama.
Yeah, no, I very rarely use sidechain compression for anything really. I will make sure to just automate a lot of with all these lines. But as you can see, a lot of the clips are separately leveled, and then the audio itself has peaks, and then it's just kind of mix a bit based on that, mostly by ear.
When you say sidechain compression, I think that's the term I learned for it is auto ducking. Are we talking about the same thing? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So it's when another track is triggering what track A has
the
a compressor.
input on a compressor for another track.
Track B is triggering that compressor whenever there's sound there that passes the threshold.
Yeah. That is, I agree that it's not a good idea for most audio drama cases. But the one time I did sort of an NPR-style documentary, that was a lifesaver. That just saved me so much trouble.
Yeah. For long pieces, sometimes you just have to kick it in, but you end up cutting so much in the audio drama that no matter how long it is, every aspect of the voice is so edited, eh?
Yeah.
So, as kind of my notes for this one were basically this session was to talk about reverb and alchemy, but alchemy kind of got ruled out, and so unless anybody has any other things to touch on reverb, you can throw in something. I was going to mention to John a little thing. Which file is this? Not this one. I'm still getting odd ways of behavior from a Reaper on looping. Maybe I should just fix that one file. I'm getting clicks. I haven't checked if the transients are actually. It's probably transients. Never mind. I think I answered my own question there. So.
I did come late to the conversation, but John, what is the name of your podcast?
Thank you. I was going to ask the same thing.
I'm the host of a show called The Home Recording Show.
Okay.
We have 249 episodes, give or take 3 or 4. I also do the Reaper blog at reaperblog.net, which is just tutorials on Reaper and news and stuff like that, and the YouTube channel that goes along with that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Thank you.
I was going to actually ask the same question of Clem. Like, what's this thing you're working on?
It's Rainbow Demons. I've yeah, I'll put the link in. It's a fantasy audio drama.
Oh, cool.
Oh man, it keeps doing that. Stop doing that.
Hmm.
You should throw that, John. You should throw yours into your link into the group chat. That way they can. I think they could click on your name, but I don't know if they will. I can't seem to click on your name, so maybe that's not the easiest way.
Yeah, they're actually. Sorry, go ahead.
What's that?
No, I was just going to say there are actually relatively few audio dramas in my podcast queue nowadays, and I would like to fix that.
Oh man, if that would be pretty cool if you listen to mine, because I mean I listen through the second shift, so that's that'd be pretty cool.
It's always great. It's always great to run into somebody who's heard the show. Like it's one of those things like within certain circles. Like it was a big deal to people back in the day, and that always was like huge to us. So yeah, it's been really neat, like seeing people talk about like having been influenced by it or hearing it. Like that's really awesome, and I would love to hear what people are doing now. Now that it's not 2006.
Well, I started listening to it when I just about the time I was starting my podcast and looking for other people doing the same thing, and so I came late to the party and I found that it was all quiet and finished, and I listened through a lot of your commentary as well. Like I did the donation on the website, I unlocked that commentary, so that was fun.
Mm-hmm. That's all free on the site now, by the way. We still appreciate your donation. That's all.
I wasn't sure if it was useful to anybody. Yeah.
Free. In fact, I'm actually really proud of it. I wrote some funky JavaScript stuff that you can actually switch in real time between the commentary and not commentary version of the episode while you're listening, which is I don't imagine anyone ever actually doing that, but I just think
that's pretty cool.
So.
Yeah, no, that's something I would do if I could. If I can do that. Yeah, and John, do you happen to have what's Gordon's Twitch channel? Because I tried to Google that to put that in.
Yeah, hang on.
So that we could look out for Monday. So they can. I mean, I've got Gordon on my Facebook and whatnot, but I see he didn't even post anything on his Twitter. So
Okay, that's cool.
Oh, I suppose I should. Hang on.
Oh, I probably shouldn't load that while I'm in the chat. This is pretty cool. Like, man, it's so neat the non-gaming stuff that people are doing with Twitch. Like I occasionally would watch like gaming related stuff, but then I found like someone like live programming, and I found that just weirdly fascinating, just like watching this other person like trying to debug code and stuff. I would love to watch some audio design things.
Yeah, exactly. That's I've been. That's one of the things I've been looking for when I started doing is just watching other people going about doing this kind of thing. Then I went to forums and asked just why isn't there more of this kind of stuff on YouTube or somewhere saved? And they're like, audio is non-visual form. Just listen to it. And I'm like, I'm a visual guy. I want to see things.
Yeah, well, and audio editing is very much visual.
Exactly, but they just say just twiddle the knobs until you're happy. But I wanted a little more to see, because I do get a little bit out of the way when I see other people's just the way they've set up a file or something. And
This week I recorded about 5 hours of that.
Really?
Yeah, of taking a song I had heard once and then mixing it from mixing it from scratch.
Oh,
So
yeah. Well, yeah. For music producing, there is quite there's a couple of things
there
of
is a
that,
lot.
and I'll check that out as well. But there's not so much for the sound design part, where you're taking a sound and from which what Brad just kind of posted today, or was it the other day with your making the footsteps and
Yeah, yeah.
which is that kind of thing, which I do enjoy because you hear that and you're like, okay, you probably just use that Foley foot library, just plug, 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 and no, and you explain how, and it just makes you think a little bit differently. Well, just for me anyway.
Yeah, no, I
I
totally
like
agree
that.
with that. That's something I would love to see more of that I don't see that much of is just sort of I'm actually not that technical when it comes to audio. Like I'm a technical person in general, but the stuff that I really like is the creative aspect of it, and particularly like figuring out how to make make a sound effect for something out of something completely different, you know.
Yeah,
And that kind of like Foley tricks and things like that is something I would love to see more, you know, more ideas about.
yeah, because I'm not that much into yeah technical of this kind of stuff as well. Just learning it as I go, and just nice to see other people's point perspective on it. Just trying to sign up for Twitch. Maybe I'll do that after.
Questions.
So what do you anything you guys are Jeff struggling with in kind of in sound or something you've kind of learned recently or
Well, I was looking
sure.
at your kind of your Reaper screens was making me think like I really really need to learn this program because it has been there's probably like a dozen things you need to learn to do a basic mix on an audio drama. And once I get those out of the way, it's like okay, good. And then you move on and think about other things, and then other stuff comes up. Boy, I wish I could do that, or I wish I could do that. I'm not coming up with an example right now, but I'm going to check out John's podcast definitely because I
Mm-hmm.
I know there's more stuff we could be doing, and I've done a little bit of my own scoring, but not since I gave up on GarageBand because for what I was doing, GarageBand was pretty good, not great.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, if you keep things simple, especially if you're doing, say, a horror piece, um, even if you pay attention to horror movies, the scores are often very tonal and really amount to like one or two chords being held down with a little bit of processing. That's the last scoring I did. I'd like to get back into scoring, but I never felt like our shows sounded all that good with my scores on them. And although the production music wasn't much better, it's better. And just looking at your screens, I'm thinking, yeah, I should really get to figure out Reaper better. Like the one thing um, I would ask, newbie question, is there really the only way to bounce a particular section by going in to the bounce screen and putting in the exact location of the cut you want to do? Is that making sense?
There's two other ways.
Good.
You can make a region, which is like a marker that has an in and an out point, or
Right.
it's a marker, a regular marker just shows this position. A region, it has an in and out point or a loop point. So you can
Right.
set your export boundary to or export type to be regions. You could also just make a time selection and set your export to be a time selection instead of the entire project or a specific time.
Right, but
Just
when
make
you
a
put
time
in
selection in advance.
the okay, because when you make a time selection, that's where I'm getting stuck with um, having to put in numbers, having to
Yeah.
figure out exactly where the point is, as opposed to, say, Audacity, where you could cut a block and highlight it, select it with one click, and then export that with an
Yeah,
export selection.
that has two different, in Audacity, there's two different export options. There's
Right.
export and export selected.
Yes,
So,
and is there an export selected equivalent in Reaper?
Yes. Yes.
yeah. Go ahead and
There
show
is?
them
Yes,
Okay.
please.
if you have Reaper still up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you talking about render time selection, or is this going to blow my mind? Because if there's
Well, so
I
what I'm
think I am
trying-
talking about render time selection. I'm talking about.
are we talking about this dialogues, render to files, this
Yeah.
dialog screen?
Can you hold down
Yeah.
Control and move your mouse in to zoom in there?
Control?
Control
I don't
mouse
think-
wheel should zoom in.
I don't have a mouse wheel. I don't have a mouse.
Magic mouse.
Oh no, not magic mouse, but trackpad maybe. Will that do it?
Can
I don't
you-
think. I think that's turned off.
Oh, okay. You might have that turned off.
I-
Okay, just so that we could zoom in a little bit. It's because it's small on our screens.
So
Wait,
even
I
if
think
you
I'm figuring this out. No.
if you full screen that, will you see it? No bigger? No. If this window, no.
Not really. It's okay. But it's on the top left.
So you have options between time selection, entire projects, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, so you just make a time selection in advance, or you make a region.
Region, which was what I do. I create regions, and then I just say render regions, pretty much.
Yeah.
Select. Yeah.
So you could render, so like make a region for each scene, or I don't know, chapters. I don't know anything
Or
about
just
what you're
or
doing.
just make the section with that is the left click and drag, right?
It depends on where you
That's
are.
the selection, yeah.
Yeah.
Left click and drag in the ruler, or right click and drag. Well, depending on your Reaper settings.
So when you're saying bounce, you do mean export, right? Not just bounce in place, render in
Yeah.
place.
Right, I do mean export
You
or
want-
render, I guess.
Okay.
You want it to go through the mixer.
Yes.
If you just have one file that you wanted to export, there's a lot of other options, but it's probably not what you want.
No, although that'd be good to know too. I actually have Reaper open right now, and I'm just looking. Just real quick, I just took a chunk, moved to time selection, and the numbers lined up, which is exciting. But they're grayed out, which is interesting.
Because you already have a time selection.
Okay, explain that.
So,
I'm
so
sorry,
you
my
would
fault.
so you move the time selection in the project rather than in the render window.
Oh, I see. That makes sense. Thank you very much, guys. That
problem.
just made it worthwhile.
Oh, because you're under custom time range for that. Okay, and not.
Yeah,
Yeah, just drop it down to time selection, and you've got it. Yeah.
and I slid over the selection a little bit, and it did in fact change. Yeah, that's going to help. That's going to help a lot.
And then project regions are a very nice way of quickly exporting things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I use regions for audio mastering projects. So I'll make a region for each song on the album, and then do all my processing, and then render regions. So if there's 8 songs, it'll do 8 consecutive renders with basically one click.
So would you have an entire album as one project?
Not usually for mixing, but for mastering.
Okay,
I would.
that makes sense.
actually, so I don't want to take up time with making anybody explain it, but I have a similar thing where I have video of a recording of a performance by my band, and I created a region for each song, and I cannot for the life of me figure out how to like I can export all the regions, but I can't figure out how to export a region or like just these regions.
Okay, there's a thing called the render matrix. Are you on version 4 or 5?
I'm on the new one, and yeah, I saw the render matrix, and I couldn't. But okay, that's the answer I need.
So you have select, and then I think it's a right click, and you can choose which ones are going to render.
Oh.
So if there's none selected, it will be all by default, or choose the ones you want. So you can render like regions 3 and 6. and
All
ignore all
right.
the others.
So I'm looking at the region matrix,
And
and
you want it set to master mix for each one. I
I
think you
just
can.
check master mix for the ones that I want.
Yeah.
Aha! Beautiful.
And you're exporting as video?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I found for just like real simple video editing, Reaper actually, does a decent job.
I do most of my tutorial videos in Reaper, and I've got like multiple video streams, multiple audio streams, text layers, and
Can
stuff
you
like that.
do like picture in picture and
Yeah.
transitions and
In
things?
Reaper 5, you can. Yeah.
With the new one, yeah.
Really?
Supposedly.
Yeah, if you check out some of the videos on my website,
Yeah.
there's quite a lot of. I'm doing a lot of stuff. I feel like I'm one of the few people doing video, but maybe I just share more than everyone else. But
For
There's
me,
stuff I
it's
can
too
find
weird to
on
do
the-
video.
There's stuff I can find on homerecordingshow.com.
no, on reaperblog.net.
Reaperblog. Okay.
Oh, look
That's,
at that. There's a video window. Sorry, I just discovered the video window for the first time because
Yeah.
it hadn't come up.
It makes it's real handy, and being able to do multiple streams, like I might be able to start using this for work now, and that will be great.
Yeah, so the most recent stuff I did, stuff that's actually not published yet, I set up an overhead camera rig so that people can see my controllers while I'm doing the mix. So I'm moving the faders and turning
Yeah,
them
yeah,
up and
yeah.
stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
So I have that in the corner.
Okay, but that one's not out yet.
No, I think I'm going to re-edit them. It's like
Okay.
it's almost 5 hours of content. So
Okay.
I tried to put it out quick, but then I'm still kind of figuring out what I'm doing exactly with it. If I'm going to sell it or release it for free or make it exclusive to newsletter subscribers or something like that. But it's like taking a mix and not like a step-by-step tutorial. It's basically me mixing and occasionally stopping to talk to myself or the camera. Not really explaining what I'm doing unless I remember to. But yeah, it's really weird to do it by yourself and not break it down step by step. But I don't mix in like a step by step. There's not a checklist for mixing for me. Like I sort of do things in a certain order, but I don't like do all my compression and then go to all my EQ and then do all my reverbs. It's all over the place, and I kind of like do what I can on each track and work quickly. I only spend like 45 seconds on each plugin and then move on, and 4 hours later the mix is done. It's like for a while it's like, wow, what the hell am I doing? Like I'm wasting so much time. But like if you take out those two middle parts, like there's so much that you miss. Lots of little changes add up.
Yeah, which I like to see the little changes because a lot of people just say, here, this step, and yeah, just watching how the mind goes from one spot to the other. Yeah. What's for Brad and Jeff? What do you guys use for your reverb, and how do you guys like to set that up? Going back to the reverb thing, if we keep it
As simple
That's
as,
the theme.
simple as possible. As simple as possible. In fact, I was just gonna ask about good plugins or which plugin within Reaper to use. I really got lazy with Audacity, and especially Audacity in the Mac. I did one of those massive plugin downloads a few years ago, where people put up stuff in the open source webpage. Here's plugins for Audacity, and I think it was one of those that basically listed rooms. Here's a cathedral, here's a large room, here's a concert hall.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of got lazy with that, but that was recently, at least at the studio, we had to get rid of the Mac because it was about 15 years old and bought a PC. And I have not found the same plugins or something similar with a real basic, simple, okay, you want this kind of room, here's at least a starting point. Here's a cathedral. And it sounded good, I'm
Yeah,
wondering, yeah,
yeah,
go
I
ahead,
was gonna
Megan.
say that's the one thing with Reaper is the reverbs I don't fully understand in
Yeah,
Reaper.
Yeah,
They're
right.
they're confusing to me, and that's why I went through a lot of reverbs, and in the end I came down to having a guitar rig because it has reflector in it, and reflector is pretty nice. The other one I found that should be on the PC that I liked. If I what's the
Valhalla Room from Valhalla DSP. It's $50 US.
mm,
Totally worth it. Worth
I've been
triple that.
I've
I
been
love.
watching that one, but I haven't pulled the trigger just because I have reverbs, and I've been feeling, come on, if they do a sale, I will buy it, and I don't
They
think
won't do
they
a sale.
ever. Yeah, I think I figured that out.
It's
Um,
already the lowest price you can get.
no, for sure, and I think it's definitely worth buying things, but that's the thing. I've bought so many things in the past couple of years that I have a couple of reverbs, and I feel bad that I would buy another one because I'm pretty sure I won't be able to learn it any better than I have my
Yeah.
current ones. So considering I have Reflector, Reflector is very good, and as far as I could, and yeah, so the one I like is Acon Digital,
Yeah, I've heard good things
ACON,
about that one too.
and it's simple. There's just a couple of sliders, and so when that one doesn't work for me, then I'll just go to something else.
Yeah.
It's less for realistic though. That I don't go for it for the realistic ones, but because it doesn't have starter presets, which I do prefer as well, where to start from when
instrument.
because I don't know how to dial in all those settings to go from cathedral to. I know
I don't
cathedral's big, but not the more authentic cathedral.
I don't worry that much about realism, um, and that makes using reverb a lot easier. For me, it's more of like, how big is it? Um,
Yeah,
is if it's if it sounds too big, maybe it's just I'm putting too much level into it. So reduce the send. Is it bassy or are the S's like ringing on and echoing and stuff like that? So often I will pre-process or post-process my reverb. So with a de-esser, definitely EQ after, and that
My,
makes
yeah.
any reverb, even the one built into Reaper, sound totally different and better. And sometimes I even compress my reverbs.
I like that idea of adjusting the send into the reverb. I've never thought to try that. That's a neat idea.
Yeah,
I'll sometimes
so
adjust the wet dry mix, but
put
yeah.
your reverbs on a separate track
Hmm.
and use sends, and you have a lot more control, and you can put plugins before and after the reverb, and control it that way.
Yeah, that's neat.
so Valhalla Room, yeah, $50, and you're thinking it does look pretty simple.
Yeah, no, no. There's nothing but good things about Valhalla, all the plugins in that suite.
Yeah,
It's just for me, yeah, I'm never gonna learn it any better. So it's not an the easy button.
yeah,
Yeah.
Um, and
If
from
if you
what,
want realistic stuff, there's Altiverb,
yeah, for sure.
and that's a convolution reverb, and it comes with a huge library. And if
Yeah,
you want like the sound of a bedroom, there's the sound of a bedroom there. And if you want a cathedral, a very specific cathedral with a 3D picture that you can, you know, browse while you're tweaking your reverb, you can get that too. But it's expensive, and I don't find that it's it doesn't feel creative to me to have like to pull up like a
yeah.
preset. It's like, you know, I'm
no,
not really a fan of convolution reverbs, but I love the Valhalla plugins.
no. But in our defense, it's nice to have a starter when you have absolutely no idea what you're doing in reverb. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
If I'm changing a reverb, it's usually either something for story, or I work a lot with, kind of beginning actors, voice actors, and they will, maybe someone's levels weren't very good, maybe someone, a lot of shy people this far north, and then they get, I'll tell them move closer to the mic 4 times, and they still won't be able to stay there. So if I'm changing it, it's very seldom for a realistic purpose. Um, reverbs are just fun. We do a lot of kids workshops, and that's always what the kids love is when you they're messing around with the mics and you start sending a reverb through. Hey everyone, we're in a cave, and that'll just be a blast for like the next 15 minutes.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
I used to use, I tested out, more realistic reverbs like the 2C Audio's Ether.
Okay.
But I found that one very heavy on the system, so I kind of started looking for more simple methods, and yeah, I found Reflector seems to be all right, even though Guitar Rig is a little bit heavy, but it's not too bad.
Valhalla. Okay. Going to make a note of this. Is there a de-esser in stock and Reaper?
Mm-hmm. You can
find it.
It's not as simple. You have to use it on. It's through a compressor, Xcomp, right, John?
Yeah, you can use the multiband compressor, or you can use the regular compressor, and you just use the filters in that to narrow the range to just the S's.
Well, there's a preset for it to get you going.
Yeah, there is a preset. Yeah,
and it does work all right. I've used it. It's definitely usable.
The de-esser I use the most is from Tone Boosters. And,
really?
And it's I usually just throw up the default preset, and it works on my voice. But a lot of the times, if it's a really bad S, I'll just use volume automation, usually pre-effects volume automation. If you watch my video on the pencil tool trick, let me see. I think it's called the pencil tool trick, and it's
oh yes.
Basically, you can just draw in volume automation and take out S's and pops and.
That was the largest reason I moved to Reaper from Audition is for the pencil. That was when I saw it. I was like, I'm moving over. This is ridiculous in Audition.
Demo I did, right?
Yeah, but I've been using it for a while since then. Yeah, because I just love it because even things like when you're doing like bad reception audio or just glitching audio and voices are going in and out, it's just much faster. You just draw it on, boom, it's done. There's no playing faders up and down or recording any of that kind of stuff. You just draw a bunch of stuff and just keep drawing. I'll draw pans like that all the time, and keeps it more interesting than just a simple A to B cross.
Did you set it up the same way as me? Like hold down Command and...
Yeah, I was going to say it's either Command or Alt. I don't know. I always just look and press it. I know what it is. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I was going to say, we're talking about removing sounds. Does anybody use Audition? Because that's pretty much my partner tool to Reaper.
I use RX.
Yeah, I wish I could get RX. I'm waiting.
RX5 is just announced.
Yeah, and they have sales every now and then, but because I have but because I have Audition and I'm paying for CC, darn you Adobe, that I just haven't jumped for RX. But painting in sounds in Audition is very, very nice for removing things, which I was going to touch on Brad's saying about the birds. It's a nice way of removing things that you don't want in the audio. I've never done it in RX, even though I've seen that the interface is quite like it when I've demoed it. But I find it fairly easy to do it in Audition. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, the spectral view.
No, not familiar with Audition.
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
Screen share. I'll go here. Share it. So the bottom portion in color, you see that?
Okay.
The red and purple.
Yes.
Right. So, and which is another thing with the S's and the pops and the P's. Okay, this one's not exhibiting anything except like that. If you see this, I can see two. These will often be pops, and then I'll just select them and then heal them, and they remove. Select, heal, remove. And
Is that filling in the gap with the room noise, or is that kind of silencing it?
it's mixing it from the area around it. So you have to be
Okay.
as if you're tight with it, it will barely. It's
Huh.
unnoticeable. So this one's not exhibiting it, but if I go to another recording, let's see if I could find somebody who does. In the low ends, if you see the yellow, which is if there's something a lot of colored in at the very bottom, that's where often the low end pops happen, and you just paint that out. And
So the colors, the brightness is how loud it is. So brightness is volume, bottom is low frequencies, top is high frequencies.
yes, so like that's pop right there. I'll go through, and a lot of times you have to listen to it, but like here there'll be. Can you see that? Am I pointing? Something there's a pop in the low end that doesn't go up to the top, and if I go and listen and there may be something low end, I'll just paint that out, select
Can you
it.
audition the selected area?
Yes, once it's selected, I'm automatically on healing brush, but if I paint it, you can play that frequency. So I
Okay.
think it works pretty much like RX on that.
Yeah, that's very similar. Can you copy and paste a frequency range? So like like make a selection of just like mid-range and move it to an area you want to replace with another area. You
Much like
probably can, like,
Adobe's
so like in
Photoshop
RX
tool.
it's called special paste, and you can fill in unwanted noise with other areas. I saw
You
Greg do
know,
that today, and it's really cool.
where did he did it in RX?
You did an RX, yeah, and it's called special paste. So you make a selection, press
Yeah,
copy,
yeah,
and go to the selection area you want to remove, and then use the special paste
yeah.
command,
That's
and it
pretty much
fills it in.
like
It's
Photoshop
similar to
does
the
to
heal,
remove people. Yeah,
yeah, it's similar to the heal thing, but you're choosing, or it would be like a clone stamp sort of thing.
yeah.
Photoshop.
I don't think you could do that in Audition, and funny enough, I've never thought of looking for it, but it makes sense.
I never thought of it until today, but I've taken sections from other, like I've usually taken like a full, like the entire frequency spectrum and pasted it somewhere else, but
Right.
not just like, never thought of taking just the mid range and pasting it from somewhere else. He was doing
Right.
it on I think it was water sounds of an amusement park ride, and there was like talking in the background or music or something, and he was just like going through really really quickly and replacing all that stuff.
Right. And so I was just going to say with sibilances, and they're often found very high up, and if it's a yellow, you just find it and pretty much paint it out. And sometimes I'll just do that. I get very picky with it, and I will actually pretty much rarely use an automated, anything automated with, unless it's like 20 minutes long or something, and I just need to get it done. Um, I end up actually listening through every selection I end up going through, playing it, and cleaning manually any pop, click, whatever.
What I would use this for is noise reduction, first of all, and then maybe do some basic leveling. I think you could probably do volume envelopes in there. Or maybe it's like
Are we
adjust
talking Audition or
in Audition.
RX?
I would use Audition the same way I use RX.
I don't. I leave all my volume leveling to Levelator. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Which maybe John, you have a better idea of that. But ever since I started in post production, and they threw a bunch of crap audio at me, I found this little application. It's called Levelator. You throw into it anything you want leveled, and it will level it without raising the noise. Unless the noise is really pretty much almost indistinguishable from the voice, and which it does not work like any normalizer in any other program, because pretty much anything that levels things does it by like normalization, right? The process, which pretty much raises the noise every time I've tried it.
Equally.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I'm not doing it wrong. Yeah, I've never been able to get it to work adequately, but this little app, Levelator, you throw anything in it, levels it, barely touches the noise. If it does, it leaves it much less on a lower level, and then after that, I'll clean it and get it to go. If I'm feeling really lazy, I'll send it to ophonic.com. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
Uh, um, Phonic.com. Put it in chat. They offer free audio cleaning for like 2 hours a month of audio, and which I more or less get away with. That's all I need because I'm terribly slow at editing. And then they offer their own standalone version you can buy. But since I've auditioned, it kind of makes no sense for me to fully buy it. But they will level it and clean it at the same time. Whereas Levelator will just level it, then I have to clean it. So if I want to save the steps, I upload it to there and then get the file back and then go. And they do an amazing job. So when you really just got to get stuff done, I really recommend sending a lot of stuff through there.
Interesting. Yeah.
And there are some their service, yeah, just really nice.
Is it a person doing it, or is it like?
It's a little company. There's a couple of people there. I think there's an About Us there that you can check out. And the nice thing is they offer more services than that. Like that's all I need, but there's a lot of options there that for doing multi-level podcasting, batch files. I'll do some batch files.
Interesting.
Folks, since I'm on East Coast time, I think I'm going to have to duck out at this point.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, we'll probably wrapping it up. It's getting late.
I was just going to say the same Central Time, but I was just going to say the same thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the times there and days are nice for you? Because I'm not 100% set on having to do it on Monday. I just decided for a day and went for it. And the time-wise, it's really hard for me to decide because I only get home at 7. So lower list would be 7:30 maybe that I can jump on and kind of get this thing.
It's not a bad time. I mean, today wasn't a bad time.
It's just gotten late as we went, right?
Yeah. My schedule is so unpredictable. There's no point in trying to schedule around me. But since everybody else is earlier than me, I'm often up, this time of night. So keep posting when you're going to do it, and as long as you're on Pacific time, I'll probably be able to jump in.
Cool.
I'm actually from Oregon, so I still got family and teams I follow out west, so I'm very much used to being up past 9:30 for events that are happening at 7:30 Pacific time.
Right, cool. Yeah, it'd be nice to get some people also internationally if we could. That'd be really cool. I don't want to meet up. There's a lot of people that have very little chance to run in too. Cool. Thanks so much, you guys, for hopping on. It's really nice to meet you guys as well, Jeff and
thanks for doing this,
Brad. And I would love to even if I could ever sometime, I would love to see how you set up your second shift, your sequences. It always interests me because when I hear all the sounds, everything's particularly if you did them in Audacity, like that's.
I'll show you.
If you ever share screen grabs.
I can show you some screen caps, and if you have any shred of sanity, you will run screaming from them, because, like I said on Facebook, I am perversely proud of the fact that I produced this full cast epic audio drama in Audacity.
For sure.
But for the love of God, don't do that. It's not a good idea.
No, I'm not going to jump back into Audacity over that and say, yes, that's the way I want to work. But I just like to peek under the hood and just see how they were done.
Yeah, no, I'll show you. I'll see if I can drag something up, and then I'll remember the number of times that I crashed Audacity from trying to do too much. And
I am curious. Did you ever actually get the envelope tool to work? Because I never have.
I use the envelope tool all the time. To find work.
Well, I just something simple like the latch feature in Pro Tools and Reaper, which that's when I was sold on Reaper, when I discovered that they had that level of automation. Because I don't know, the envelope tool and I just never got along at all.
I don't know.
Uh,
What's the latch tool?
where
Latch mode automation, where you move the
Yeah.
control and it stays at that level until you move it again. And
So
there's
it allows
there's
you,
multiple different methods of doing automation.
there's the
Okay.
right latch.
Latch lets you go in and out, that kind of punch in and out of already recorded automation.
So
Okay.
typical thing when you're mixing is, well, we talked about the room, the bar. I would just put it to latch, and then I think you just hit play, I believe. Yeah, play, and as it goes, I'd use the mouse to control the slider, go up the level I like, and then and move it down nice and smooth when the dialogue begins. But it's a feature Pro Tools had years ago, and no one else did. Certainly no other free or cheap program. And when I
Okay.
discovered Reaper had write and latch, and that was a happy day.
Yeah. No, for me, it was just a very, very tedious manual process of
Mhm.
like drawing, because I would use it for wanted a if I wanted a fade that I wanted to have really, really tight control over, or I just wanted to have a non-destructive. It's the only non-destructive edit you can make in Audacity, and so that's another thing.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. The way I used to tell people is it's kind of like being able to do surgery with a butter knife. Like, it's cool that you can do it, but then I was like, hey, I made this a thing, and oh wait, nobody cares professionally that I'm a really good butter knife surgeon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but every time I get a new machine, Audacity's like the third program I always load on there for
Yeah.
some reason or another. It is an excellent Swiss Army knife. Well, gents, thanks. Clem,
Yeah.
thanks for doing this. I'm gonna sign
Thanks for
off
joining,
and
guys. Yeah, for sure. Let's
do it
let's
again.
wrap her up, and definitely I hope to catch you guys again. And thanks so much, John, for joining us.
Yes.
No problem.
Your
John, thanks.
wise words and very simple explanations are really always useful as I stutter and forget how to explain something.
Yeah.
Thank you very
I
much.
would love to, if anybody wants to do tutorials, like I'd love to do like a more structured tutorial thing sometime. That would be really cool, like a demo.
Well, for this one, I hope next time we'll bring it, like I'm going to look into feeding sound through, however to do it. I don't want to feed it through Reaper and out. That sounds like a pain. But I'm going to take a look on how you would do that, and then that way others could demo theirs, I could demo mine, whatever, and we could run things live.
All right.
That would be very cool. All right.
All right. Talk to everybody later.
Yep.
Have a good night, guys. Cheers.